It's no secret that Arsenal have struggled without Martin Ødegaard this season. In the 8 games without the captain, Arsenal picked up just 12 points in the Premier League, the same amount as Manchester United picked up in the same period. But with Ødegaard, Arsenal score more, concede less, but more importantly, win more games. And with their captain back in the side, Arsenal now are truly title challengers once again. Today we're going to dive into Martin Ødegaard's influence on the side, from a possession perspective, from an attacking perspective, and more importantly, defensively as well. If you are new around here, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like the video, but anyway, let's get this party started. First up, Martin Ødegaard is Arsenal's only true playmaker. I'm talking a player that gets on the ball in all areas of the pitch to create overloads, get possession into the right channels, but also create in that final area. Since the start of last season, Martin Ødegaard created the third most chances in the Premier League despite being injured for those 8 games we mentioned before. On top of that, Martin Ødegaard created the most chances from open play, and per 90, his involvement in shots is the best of any player. So what does Martin Ødegaard do that is so good? Martin Ødegaard very much plays from the inside right channel. As Arsenal move from their defensive shape to their offensive shape, after winning the ball, what you tend to see is 2 wingers holding the width out wide, the striker taking up a central position, and then the 2 8s moving into advanced areas. Ødegaard has very much made this position his own. Not only has he got the ability to find that final pass when the opportunity is on, with runners from either the right-hand side or the striking position, but he retains the ball in the right areas and he doesn't rush things, and he waits for the right moment to make a clever flick or clever pass. And his link up with Saka is one of the best of any 2 players. And since the start of last season, Martin Ødegaard and Saka have combined for the most shots in the Premier League in terms of one player creating chances for the other. And we've got so many examples of the pair linking, but more importantly, it's the simplicity that I love with Martin Ødegaard. Our first example comes against Nottingham Forest, with Ødegaard in that inside right position. Arsenal have got the play into the final third with Saka in possession. But if we just look how simple Ødegaard plays this, it's fantastic. Number 1, he's in a lovely little pocket of space in between the opposition's defenders and midfielders. But number 2, he draws the pressure in, then simply flicks the ball around the corner for Saka to drive across the box and score the first goal of the game. That simple flick, after drawing the pressure, created a serious opportunity for Bukayo Saka, something that Ødegaard does time and time again. But let's move forward to another example, this time against Brighton. Once again, I mentioned that link. Ødegaard not only gets involved in the final third, but he also makes things happen from deep. And sometimes the simple pass out wide is the correct pass, and Ødegaard seems to get that right 9 times out of 10, versus maybe more the direct playmakers in the league. Think Bruno Fernandes, who constantly looks for the ball in behind the defence. Ødegaard is very happy to keep possession and then move to get on the ball once again. And we see that exactly in this chance against Brighton. The ball's moved out wide. Martin Ødegaard again moves into that same area. You can just imagine that being a bit of a square on the pitch that he's attacking in between the opposition's wide players and central players. But moving into that zone again, shaping up, watching Saka's move off the ball, a lovely dink. Again, Ødegaard has all that technical ability to play that pass, lifting the ball above the Brighton defence for Saka to get a shot on goal. Alternatively, if he's not in and around the penalty area, he's got that ability to find those crosses to the back post, to feed the likes of Declan Rice and Martinelli, as we saw against Chelsea. So we pick up the play once again with Arsenal in the final third on that right-hand side. Ødegaard making a slightly underlapping run. Instead of playing a direct pass in behind the defence there, which could be a lower quality chance, he waits, he retains possession, cycles it back out to Thomas Partey. And this creates a better opportunity for him to get his head up later on in the move to make that one touch, spot the overload on the back post, the 2v1 of Declan Rice and Martinelli, and find a brilliant pass into there for Martinelli to score the opening goal of the game. But it's not only in the inside right channel as a creator that Ødegaard playmakes. He is a deep-lying playmaker when necessary. He roams around and gets on the ball to help Arsenal progress the play. Arsenal's build-up this season, as last season, is super flexible. We can see a 3-2 shape, we can see a 2-3 shape. It's very dependent on what the opposition are doing and how Arsenal can overload them using men around the ball. So at times what you'll see with Martin Ødegaard is him actually dropping deeper into the defensive midfield line. We tend to see Calafiori tuck in and move into the midfield line a little bit more than Yuri and Timber, but the base of the two centre-backs, as well as Jurrien Timber, either inverting or overlapping Saka, depending on where the midfielder is. And what you'll tend to see is Ødegaard receive the balls in the deep area. Not only does this pull the opposition in to press him high, then he can chip it inside and then create space for that pass out back to Saka, creating more of a diagonal passing lane than usual, but he can also play progressive passes himself, passes into the final third, and progressive passes. He's top for Arsenal in the last few seasons. So that ability to drop deep and to almost zigzag the ball down the pitch by moving, receiving again, shipping out wide, then moving again on the last line, then creating opportunities for his teammates is a big reason why Arsenal are even better with him in the side. It turns them into title challengers, and we can see his playmaking against Wolverhampton Wanderers in a recent Premier League game. We pick up the play with Ødegaard in this right half position. You know, just imagine Toni Kroos at Real Madrid. He played left half pretty much for the entirety of his career from a possession perspective. Ødegaard is doing something very similar for Arsenal. We can see that shape that we literally just looked at. Ødegaard recycles the ball to one of the centre-backs, but we can see the narrowness of Arsenal's midfield line. We've got one of the full-backs inverting, Thomas Partey at DM, and Ødegaard dropping into this kind of right half position to get on the ball. Again, we see a lot more width and attacking intent from full-back, which is a slight variation of Arsenal from last season to this season. But Ødegaard getting on the ball, first and foremost, a good first touch, away from the opposition, drawing in the Aston Villa midfield line. Not only does that, but quickly works it back inside and then is on the move. That simple little bit of play from Ødegaard, dropping deep, opens up the angle for Thomas Partey to thread the ball through Jacob Ramsey. Without Ødegaard drawing Jacob Ramsey into that position, the pass out to Saka isn't on. Again, these slight nuances in the game are so important from these build-up perspectives. But with Ben White in the attacking line, Saka's got a 1v1 on the fullback with Jacob Ramsey out of position. Saka drives inside, but pulls the two players over, opening up a bit of space for, again, Ødegaard. He's dropped deep, he's got on the ball, he's helped the progression, and now he's in the final third. And this is where his brilliance comes in. His ability to spot these kind of passes is probably one of the best in the world at doing this. The vision of Ødegaard is simply sensational. He finds the pass with Saka's running behind the defence, Saka with a low cross, Trossard scores a goal. But that involvement in deeper areas allows Arsenal to truly dominate, and they have lacked that when he's been out injured. And him being back in the side puts Arsenal back up there with Liverpool and Manchester City. If you watch Arsenal, you know how good Ødegaard is, but I've got an exercise here to explain exactly how important the Norwegian midfielder is. You've got to pick one number 10 for your team from a roster of attacking midfielders from Arsenal and Manchester City. I think the first option is a pretty simple one. I would go with Martin Ødegaard right now over Kevin De Bruyne, but I'd have them very much in the same bracket. Both high quality creators, top footballers. Next up, you're going to look at Manchester City, Phil Foden, Bernardo Silva, or even Jack Grealish playing on the inside. Further down the line, you may be even looking at İlkay Gündoğan or Rodri's playmaking skills. And only after that, you're probably looking at the Arsenal squad in maybe moving Kai Havertz a little bit deeper, but that takes away Arsenal's most effective number 9. Here lies the problem. Arsenal do not have a direct replacement for Martin Ødegaard. Now you've got to pick one number 6 from a defensive midfield roster of Manchester City and Arsenal. The first choices would be Rodri or Declan Rice. You'd then probably drop down to a Thomas Partey or a Mikel Moreno, followed up by Jorginho, with Manchester City's players sitting deeper than that in Nunez, Kovacic or İlkay Gündoğan. The point is, City have built a squad of playmakers, so City haven't struggled as much when they've lost Kevin De Bruyne as Arsenal have with Ødegaard. They've got enough quality at the base of midfield, but attacking midfield, Ødegaard is the standout player. Whereas Arsenal have built a squad of physical ball winners, so they didn't struggle when they lost Partey this season compared to when Manchester City have lost Rodri this year. The reliance on Ødegaard, though, is to be expected. His injury record is simply sublime. Since moving from Real Madrid on a permanent deal, Ødegaard just missed 3 games in 3 seasons before this season's injury. So that idea that Ødegaard can play week in, week out is quite true. I think the other problem for Arsenal, in a sense of they don't don't really have a top quality backup. They've got some exciting young players like a Nwaneri that could potentially come in and facilitate that role that Martin Ødegaard plays for Arsenal in the inside right channel, but he might not be quite ready yet. I think when you look at the transfer market and given the consistency and the minutes that Ødegaard's played, it would be difficult to sign a top quality backup. Think like Liverpool, you're not really going to get a Salah backup, are you? Think Manchester City. A Rodri backup is very, very hard. That is the level of Martin Ødegaard. And I think building Nwaneri into this type of player, but also giving him minutes in different areas, like in left central midfield at certain times to play with Martin Ødegaard is a way to get the best out of him. But also when you're looking at the squad as well that Arsenal have kind of built together, the only technical playmaker is Martin Ødegaard. When he's not on the pitch, the creativity sits on the two wingers in Saka and Martinelli. And let's say you throw in a Mikel Moreno, yes, he's going to give you that ability to win duels and that, aggression off the ball and some good playmaking in the final third. It's not the same level of Martin Ødegaard. That vision and ability to spot a pass, plus all the statistics mentioned before, is a big reason why Martin Ødegaard is kind of relied upon in the Arsenal squad. He is that good, and signing an understudy is very, very difficult in the market. The next reason why Arsenal are title challengers with Martin Ødegaard is he makes their right-hand side tick. I'd argue that their right-hand side is probably the best in Europe when you're looking at the quality of all the players. Not only do they have two very, very solid right fullbacks in Jurrien Timber and Ben White that not only provide a good ability in possession to play forward passes, to break lines, but they're also brilliant off the ball. On top of that, both are super dominant defenders, and their dual win rates are absolutely fantastic, allowing Arsenal to be even more offensive, knowing that Timber and White can win the possession back. When you're looking on the right-hand side in terms of the winger, you'd probably say only Mohamed Salah is a better winger in the entire world of football than Bukayo Saka, and that is closing as a gap as well. In terms of goal involvements this season, Saka has scored and assisted 4 times in the Premier League. The only player to have scored and assisted in more separate games is Mohamed Salah. And that ability to score, to create, but I also like Saka's taking up slightly more inside positions this season at times. We actually see Ødegaard on the outside and Saka in inside position, similar to kind of the goals, like the Nottingham Forest goal, where Saka's actually getting shots away in kind of a narrow front three position. That will make Arsenal even better. And then, of course, Martin Ødegaard is probably the best number 10 or 8 hybrid in the world of football. No player last season created more chances in Europe from open play than Martin Ødegaard. That right-hand side is the pinnacle, and Ødegaard makes it tick. And like all great attacking units, the partnerships within are superb. When you think about the best pairings in Premier League history, your Lampards, your Drogbas, your Heung-min Sons with Harry Kanes, Arsenal are starting to build that not only with Ødegaard and Saka, but also the fullback, be it Jurrien Timber or Ben White. In terms of the awareness of that fullback, it's superb. Let's say Ødegaard has dropped a little bit deeper to get on the ball to playmakers we saw previously. You'll either see Timber underlapping and getting into that advanced area, creating a 1v1 out wide for the likes of Bukayo Saka, but also if the forward has checked inside from this kind of passage of play where we're building through, Timber will, or of course Ben White, like we saw him do against Brentford last season, will provide that overlap in the final third. And this is only going to make Arsenal more dangerous, and it's a big reason why this unit is so good, is the partnerships within the system. They truly understand each other's games. And going back to the best partnership in the Premier League of 2 attackers, Saka and Martin Ødegaard, one of the big things is they both excel in these kind of short, tight spaces in terms of their close control and dribbling, but they genuinely get on with each other outside football, and that builds the partnership even stronger. And what makes this really apparent is when you listen to Bukayo Saka speak about their relationship after the 5-1 win against Sporting Club de Portugal.
The day he returned, there was a big smile on my face, and you can see the chemistry we have, how much I enjoy playing with him, so I'm happy he's back and I hope he stays fit for the rest of the season.
And as we mentioned previously, Martin Ødegaard and Saka combined for the most open play shots in the Premier League last season. If teams tactically adapt and move 2 players over, let's say the opposition's left winger and the left fullback, more space is created for Martin Ødegaard in the inside. And we saw that exact play against Aston Villa. So pick the play up with the ball being worked out to Saka on the flank. You can instantly see John McGinn, the nominal left winger, in the game moving over to support Luca Dean. As they both move over, the space opens up for Martin Ødegaard. We can see that in this tactical shot, that those two players have been drawn over, as well as Youri Tielemans, who's been pulled over by Kai Havertz, making that kind of attacking running behind the defence. There is acres and acres of space for Martin Ødegaard to do what he does best. That's to playmake, plays a brilliant reverse pass on the inside after Saka's shifted off one of the defenders that were picking him up in John McGinn, then cuts inside and gets a shot on goal. But taking that concept even further this season, Arsenal look a little bit more relational. Yes, they still have elements of their game that's positional in terms of the width and the switch of play and the fullback moving inside, in terms of very positional, breaking up the pitch into the wings, the central space, the half space and so forth. But we're seeing Arsenal be a little bit more relational, especially with the movement of the number 9. At times they'll draw over to basically create a 3v3 situation in the final third. That's, let's say, Kai Havertz or Leandro Trossard moving over to draw one of the centre-backs, Ødegaard operating in that central area, but also Saka wide. What this now has led Arsenal to do, instead of a 2v1 created, or the last example where we saw Havertz come over and it be a bit of a 3v2, now what we see with Arsenal on the right-hand side of the pitch is actually a 4v3. With the fullback, again, being an attacking player. And what you see at times, the ball being worked out, is either the fullback attacking on the underlap or on the overlap. And we saw that against Nottingham Forest in the recent Premier League game. Once again, Arsenal building out the back, looking for Ødegaard in this deeper position, simply shifting the ball out to Saka, and we can start to see this play go over. At the moment, it is a 3v3 situation on the flank. Nottingham Forest in a pretty good defensive situation. Murillo's come over as the centre-back. You know, you got James Ward-Prowse sitting in midfield. But now what Arsenal seem to do on this right-hand side, that again is all orchestrated by Martin Ødegaard, is throw extra bodies. Ødegaard here's movement off the ball is very, very good. Not only does it open up even more space, but it drags the defence over. And you can see now with Youri Timber on the underlapping position that basically all players are fixated on the ball. Ødegaard's in the inside, Trossard's a ball option, but Youri Timber is just spanning behind the defence. Saka has that quality to find the pass on the inside, then once again link with Ødegaard. You think that he's kind of out the move from this position, but as soon as that pass is played, Ødegaard back on the inside, checks back in, cuts it back to Timber, fired over. Arsenal are now creating tactical situations where they're overloading your flank in a very relational way, all orchestrated with Martin Ødegaard's movement to drop deep and then make the final pass in the final third. And not only does he make the right-hand side tick, he makes Arsenal tick. He is the club captain. He's very vocal on the pitch. Not only is he dictating where his teammates playing, he's communicating with instructions. And when you talk to any ex-pro, that is so important. The information of when you're being pressed, when you're receiving, when you're looking to run in behind the defence, that movement off the ball we just looked at there, all super important. And that intangible of Ødegaard's leadership will push Arsenal closer to Man City and Liverpool. And the third reason why Arsenal truly are title challengers this season with Martin Ødegaard is that he improves them defensively. Arsenal under Mikel Arteta have gone from a real transition from a defensive sense, sitting up in a 3-4-3 at the start of his tenure when they won the FA Cup, to now having one of the best mid-blocks and high presses in the league. They press high in a diamond, they press deep in a 4-4-2 shape, but every time Martin Ødegaard is pressing intensely. So why is Ødegaard so important in the press? Well, at times he triggers the press. Let's take the opposition building out from the back. Ødegaard will sit in a striking position, allowing him, as soon as the ball's played, to press the opponent, to squeeze them, to play difficult passes inside for his teammates to step in and intercept. Not only does Ødegaard press in those situations, but when Arsenal drop into their mid-block shape, their 4-4-2 structure, with Declan Rice dropping deep and both wingers dropping, once again, Ødegaard will lead that line of pressure, allowing his teammates to squeeze high. In terms of the statistics, when pressing the opposition, Ødegaard since the start of last season is the best. Not only has he put the most pressure on the ball in those situations, he's won the ball back 180 times, more than any other player. He's so important in a defensive sense, not only when squeezing high, but also jumping out. And Arsenal's mid-block looks a lot better with a captain in the team. And we saw that in 2 recent games when Arsenal scored and won a penalty following Ødegaard winning the ball back. First up, that assist against Chelsea started with Martin Ødegaard winning the ball back, jumping at the right time, reading the tactical situation, stepping in, winning the tackle off Lavia to then release Arsenal from an attacking position, and then once again getting his head up after recycling the possession to the back post for Martinelli to score. Further than that, against Sporting Lisbon, similar thing, pressure on the opposition's defensive midfield line, squeezing them high, winning the ball, then making a move off it, receiving it again, waltzing into the penalty area to win Arsenal the penalty to score the 4th goal of the game. 2 situations where Ødegaard has won the ball in that defensive midfield area and allowed Arsenal to score goals. But anyway guys, get into the comments below. Do you think Ødegaard turns Arsenal back into title challengers? And can the Gunners win the Premier League this season? Get into the comments below. I've been Statman Dave, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you later.
Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, why not check out some more content on the Statman Dave YouTube channel.